This message is for those of you who have been suffering with severe and chronic upper respiratory issues such as fungal sinusitis, severe sinusitis, allergies, sinus infections, pneumonia, bronchitis, chronic cough, meaning a cough that has lasted you 3 to 6 to even 8 months. This message is for you. And those of you who have all of a sudden developed asthma within the past 3 to 5 years. So this message came as a download while I was hiking. I get a lot of messages when I'm hiking. And I actually haven't been able to hike for quite a while because of my own respiratory infections and issues that I've been having. One thing that has stuck out in this particular download that I got from Spirit is that what you've been going through is ascension sickness, okay? The earth has shifted. It's shifted its coordinates. It has shifted its electromagnetic field. And there's been a lot of energetic shifts happening across the planet. Shifts that we're not aware of, shifts that we could not even feel. And because of that, we had to have an upgrade in our physical bodies, okay? So those of you who have experienced these severe to chronic issues in your upper respiratory system, this is what's been happening to you, or happening for you, I should say. Especially those of you who have gone to the doctor several times like myself over the past few years. I've always had sinus and allergy issues. I had my tonsils removed when I was a kid. I had my adenoids removed. I used to have tubes down in my ears. So I was born with these, severe to chronic upper respiratory issues. So my entire life I've been dealing with it, but it went away for a while, and then all of a sudden, back in 2022, it hit me really, really hard, and I have really been suffering for the past couple of years, okay? So, basically, we've had to have these physical upgrades so that we can withstand the shifts that are happening biologically, chemically, spiritually, that are also happening with sound, okay? For those of you, some of you have noticed maybe you're hearing sounds that other people can't hear. And I'm not just talking about the usual ringing or buzzing in the ear. I'm talking about low frequency hums or high frequency like electrical sounds. Have you ever heard like a power line? You've heard those sounds, and sometimes you're hearing those and you're so tapped in and tuned into it, you can really hear it and other people can't, okay? So our upgrades have prepared us for what's to come. Now, I don't know exactly what's coming, but what I did here was warfare, biological warfare, chemical warfare, sound warfare, and things that will be like gases that will be emitted into the atmosphere and that have already been emitted into the atmosphere. So those are certain things that you are being prepared for, pretty much, right? Pretty much your body is being prepared for those particular events and incidences that have already taken place that we're not aware of and that will take place. Now, the thing is that everyone is not going to survive this, okay? And many people have not survived the particular, because there's been several rounds of this emittance of these particular elements, or gases, particles being released in the air, atmospheric changes and things like that. Some of these atmospheric changes have happened naturally. They've been naturally released from the earth, through plants and gases out of the actual earth, from water. And many of the releases and the emittance of these particular elements or nanoparticles or chemicals or what have you have been released by humans through the instruction of extraterrestrials. Okay. A lot of people fear these particular emittance of these gases and particles and things of that nature. So a lot of people are afraid of them. But those of us who receive this message and who understand that at this particular time, these things have been needed and will be needed, you won't be fearful of it. Okay. Hopefully after this message, you won't be fearful of it. But these things are designed to help you survive. So there's been a DNA mutation. And I don't want you guys to get scared when you hear that, because when I first heard DNA mutation, I was like, oh my God, like what the heck? Like, I have not gotten the jab. I've been really good about trying to keep my body clean and my system clean and clear of certain chemicals and things of that nature, and not to expose myself to certain things. What do you mean by DNA mutation? So all that means is that because the Earth's atmosphere is changing so rapidly, your old DNA was not going to be able to withstand the atmospheric changes. And so you needed a DNA upgrade. So you can say DNA upgrade or you can say DNA mutation. It means the same thing. Okay. So each person's biological makeup is different, right? Your chemistry is different. Your body is different, which means that these particular ascension sicknesses hit us all differently, right? Which means that, there were different allergens that were needed in order to be the seed through which the activators could take place. Okay, so there's certain activators, the nanoparticles and the atmospheric changes, the gases and the chemicals and all of that type of stuff, the sound and all of those types of things. Those are actually the activators, okay, of this DNA mutation. But the seeds are the allergens. So your allergens could have been certain weeds. It could have been trees. It could have been pollen. It could have been foods. It could have been, exposure to certain chemicals. It could have been mold, okay? Or different allergens around your house, different plants, pet dander. Some of you might have developed allergies that you never had before. And all of that was because the seed needed to be planted within you to receive, to be a receptor. Okay, the seed was the receptor of the activation element, whether it was a nanoparticle or whether it was a gas or whether it was, some sort of substance that was released into the air. One of those emittances was needed to latch on to that seed and germinate that seed, which would start the process of the DNA mutation or the DNA upgrade. DNA mutation download part 2. So the particular seed that was needed as a receptor of the activation element, okay? So let's just say, for example, you were exposed to mold, right? Mold is terrible. It can be deadly, and it can cause all kinds of health concerns, right? I should know because part of my upper respiratory issues that I've been experiencing over the past few years, mold was one of the allergens, okay? So, now this is the thing though, the mold, and this is just one example because again, it could be pet dander, it could be, pollen, grasses, leaves, weeds, foods, whatever. So for me, a while ago, it was many years ago, it was gluten and dairy. But just recently, it was a plethora of things, but the main one was mold. Now, so I'm going to use mold as an example simply because it was one that I have dealt with, and I'm currently dealing with it. And it triggered a lot of different things, okay? So one thing about mold, when you breathe in mold spores, what happens is those mold spores latch onto your nasal passages. It can get into your lungs. It can get on your skin. It can get in many different places, okay, and throughout the body. But I'm mainly talking about the respiratory system, okay? So it can also cause what they call fungal allergies, invasive fungal allergy, all right? Now, we know that mold is alive, right? It's a living organism. Fungus is alive. It is a living organism. So it's kind of like a parasite. So it latches on to your nasal passages, into your lungs, okay? And it begins to mutate and it begins to multiply and grow. And this fungus is acting as a receptor for whatever those signals that are being sent out to the physical body to help your DNA mutate and upgrade so that you can be recalibrated to the particular energetic frequency that the earth is vibrating at currently. All right. There's a lot of stuff that the earth is going through that we are not aware of. I am not an expert in that. I'm only giving you guys a message that I received. Okay. I don't have like specific details about where the earth is right now, what's going on with the earth. All I heard was biological, chemical, elemental, and sound. Okay. Receptors, activation, seeds. These are all of the things that came in. Now you guys can take this message and you can sit with it and you can meditate on it and see if there's anything that you that comes in more for you, and then you can do a video and get into more depth about what this particular situation is. Okay, but so that's basically how these particular seeds are play into all of this. Okay, and I use that fungus as a specific example. All right, so some of you have been to the doctor many times. If you're like me, you've been to the doctor probably over 50 times. All right. The message that I have for you guys is that the prescriptions and the treatments and the things like that the doctor has given you may have started working and then all of a sudden it stopped working, or it didn't work at all. All right. Or one symptom ended, but it triggered another symptom. All right. So let's just say you had nasal issues, you had sinus issues, and all of a sudden the sinus issues are fixed, but now you have a chronic cough. All right. That is because you are not supposed to get rid of this thing right now. All right. If you get rid of one symptom, another symptom is going to kick in. Okay. Now, for some of you, this has happened already. For those of you who have been dealing with this anywhere between 3 to 5 years plus, the message is that you're going to start to feel relief, and you're going to start to see that one day you're going to wake up and you're just going to be able to breathe. One day you're going to wake up and the chronic cough is gone. Okay. The phlegm and the mucus is just dried up, and now everything's back to normal. It's going to be that fast of a turnaround. And for some of you who've been dealing with this for an extensive period of time, you're going to notice it within the next 2 to 3 months that all of a sudden it's just gone. Okay. And it's not going to be because of anything that your doctor did. It's just because now is the time that your body, your DNA has fully mutated, you're fully activated, you're fully upgraded, and now you're prepared and set and ready for whatever it is to come. Okay. For those of you who your symptoms have just started kicking in, you can probably expect to deal with this for at least another year or two. All right. Anywhere between like 6 months to 2 years, you can expect to deal with those symptoms. Unfortunately, I am so sorry to tell you that, but that's it. But there are things that you can do to bring relief, even if it's just temporary relief. There are things that you can do. You can change your diet. Okay. So I'm hearing, get off of gluten and dairy products if you haven't already. Lay off sugar as much as you can. Reduce your alcohol intake. Reduce the amount of exposure to smoke and harsh chemicals and smells and fragrances. If there is mold in your home, do everything that you can to get rid of the mold, even if that means moving out of the particular environment that you're in. So things on the physical plane you can do to bring yourself some relief. All right. Now, for those of you who are coming to the end of this cycle and you all of a sudden just notice, oh my goodness, all my symptoms are gone after 5, 6, 10 years, right? These symptoms have just left. What you're going to notice is that, and if you're like me and you're scared straight, I wouldn't even play with it. I wouldn't even try to test it. But the message is that you're going to be able to eat foods that you couldn't eat before, that you were allergic to. You'll be able to be around certain environments that used to be very harsh for you to be around, that would trigger an allergy and trigger all of these symptoms. And all of a sudden you're just going to be able to do it. If you couldn't smell a certain flower, or you couldn't be around trees, all of a sudden you're going to be able to lay in the grass and be okay, and you won't have any problems. Okay. So and the reason for that is because you have gone through the full activation and the full upgrade. All right. So now certain things that you used to be super sensitive to, you're no longer going to be sensitive to them. That doesn't mean go crazy and just start eating everything and drinking everything and smelling everything and smoking everything. That doesn't mean that. It just means that you just don't have a problem with it anymore. And that's because you're fully activated. Okay. So that is pretty much the message. I hope that this resonates with someone. Please continue going to see your doctor. Please continue your treatments, continue your medications. If it's working for you, even if it's just bringing an hour of relief, continue doing it. And just make sure that you fast. Fasting can be extremely helpful. I'm going to give you some tips to help you if you're coming to the end of this cycle, or if you're currently going through it. I'm going to give you some tips, health tips that will work for you. Okay, this is the DNA Mutation download part 3. All right, hello, X-Men. Because that's kind of what you are right now. You're kind of like X-Men because your DNA is different. Your body is different. It has shifted. It has changed. Okay. So, some things that you can do to support your body, and support your sanity while you're going through this. So the first thing you can do is try intermittent fasting. Okay. Intermittent fasting is going to be different. The schedule for that is going to be different for every person, depending upon your age, your gender, your weight, okay? Things like that, your health and all of that, okay? But intermittent fasting will be extremely helpful to help your body reset itself. You can do it daily. You can do it twice a week. You can do it 3 times a week. You can do it however long you want to, okay? But you definitely want to make sure that you're doing it according to what your body needs. If your body is saying, hey, I need food, give it food, okay? Drinking plenty of fluids. Drink plenty of water. Try to lay off heavy sugary beverages, unless it's like fresh natural fruit juice, and even then, make sure you limit that. But drink lots of clean water. Drink lots of good teas that are cleansing and support your immune system. You definitely want to take some supplements and vitamins. It's very important that you do that right now, because that is going to help you. That is going to help support your body and your system at this time. If you have nasal issues, you want to do some nasal flushes and irrigations. Talk to your doctor about that first, because there may be certain medications that they want to put you on. Okay. You want to make sure you take nice hot steam baths and steam showers and things like that, cleansing baths and salt baths and things of that nature, to just keep your aura cleansed. You want to make sure your home stays incredibly clean during this time. And that if you have to use cleansers and things like that, try to stay away from really harsh chemicals, okay? With strong smells and fragrances that might trigger coughing spells, that might burn your nasal passages or anything like that, okay? And you just want to be gentle with yourself. Stay away from, people who smoke. Stay away from smoky areas and smoky bars. Lay off the alcohol. If you can, just stop drinking if you can, okay? I know that's kind of difficult if it's like celebration time or a holiday or birthdays and stuff like that. And if you do drink, maybe just limit it to like vodka, things that have very clear liquors, things that have very little sugar in them, okay? So I think as far as what you can do to support yourself as you are going through this process, you could probably wear a mask when you go out. Like if you're going out of, if you're hiking, or if you're like going to be around large crowds, wear a mask. If you're traveling, wear a mask, especially on an airplane. I know that I needed an inhaler because of my particular symptoms and things like that. So whatever it is that your doctor is telling you to do that. Whatever it is that your intuition is telling you to do that. And you can take some of the tips that I just gave you and apply that as well. But yeah, so again, this message is not for everyone, okay? Everyone who is having, chronic, severe upper respiratory issues, it doesn't necessarily mean that this message is for you. But for those of you that this message resonated with, then it means that it is for you, okay? Those of you who have caught this message, you've seen it, you ran across it, you caught it and ran across it for a reason, which means that it is exactly for you. So hopefully this will bring you some sense of peace around what's happening, and that you can not feel so worried and scared about what's going on with your body and why you can't get relief and why you haven't been able to release these symptoms. Because I know for me, information is power. And when I understand why something is happening, it takes away the fear. It takes away the feeling of helplessness and, trying to do this and trying to do that. What it does is it just brings you a sense of peace. So I hope that this helps you in some way, shape, or form. If you feel that this message will resonate with other people, then you can go ahead and feel free to share it. And if you have any questions, feel free to just leave the questions in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them. All right.